Here is what the template is. The template is based on the human life cycle. I had a question on a video from Captain Knots. When you say template, I think of a tablet or format. So the templates are circular, like cycles? That was a question. And what I want to do is kind of just talk about the template from a different angle this time. Instead of looking at the material, I'm going to go at it completely the way somebody, I don't know how long ago, before writing, so this was around. This material shows up in our earliest writing. And it's a conceptual way to read it. So that's what I have to try and teach people. First of all, not many people are going to see this. If you're here watching and looking at it, you're going to be somebody that is what is called. You actually have to go on the path. But if you can understand this, there's something about human brains that are different. I don't know what this is. Honestly, this is not my department. But I do know from a lot of experience that many human brains somehow cannot see the conceptual idea of things, or maybe they simply don't want to. I don't know. Most people cannot see this. So what is it then that makes a person a called person? It's throughout the stories. The stories are for us to discover anybody who is a called person. But a called person is probably going to be this introverted, sensing, feeling. I see a much bigger. We have a larger scope of awareness than other people. And we know that, but they don't. Because if somebody comes up to you and says, I can see more than you can, what does that sound like? They're going to say, what the hell are you talking about? I'm seeing what is there. You're not seeing something that isn't there. They don't see what's there. This gets really difficult. Now, somehow within the architecture of someone's mind, I don't know how this works, except that I do know that there are differences. I've spent a long time trying to talk with people about this and have met with all manner of things. I've never met with anybody who said, wow, I love that. Yeah, let's get into that. I've never met that person. I think that everybody has incredible imaginations. We need incredible imaginations, but here is what I see. If I look around and I'm watching theism let's just look at the globe. All kinds of things, flat earth, ancient alien technology, humans couldn't have built the pyramids, aliens, somehow something, there's something beyond us that people are looking for all the time. And they will spend incredible amounts of time developing things. There's programs that are incredibly popular that are talking about all that stuff when they base themselves mostly on. When I look at them, it's like the only way they can exist is by denying what we can see, or claiming things that are supernatural, or claiming things that there's no evidence for, or the evidence is sketchy. It's not even being looked at correctly. They are using imaginations. However, when we look at the material, there is something that is said that about seeking, and just imagine this: seek and knock for righteousness' sake, somewhere in that kind of thinking within Jesus. What is righteousness? Everybody seeks and knocks. Everybody does. However, the seekers are looking for righteousness, which means we're looking for the truth. We don't listen to people and go, oh, I like the sounds of that. I'm jumping on board. We're the kind of people that go, that's interesting. Show me. What, that's it? You can't show me? Thank you. Then we go somewhere else. We don't jump in a group of millions of people, and then when somebody says, you're doing it wrong, there are billions of us over here doing it this way. Why don't you join the big crowd? At least you know where they are, so we can avoid that. There's something different in our heads. There is. And we're not going to share this well with people, even if we want to. Here is what the template is. The template is based on the human life cycle. That's the template. It's not circles. We need to look at it as I'm born. When I'm born, I have certain qualities and characteristics that I am born with. Those qualities and characteristics, think about this, different mind types, introverts, extroverts, people that are, you look around and go, there's a lot of different personalities, people that are quiet, people that like to talk, people that if you look around, you see, if you observe that and think group, living on the savannah, you see why that's there. You look at in society, it's kind of, what is going on here? If you look and put them in a savannah and put them in a group and everybody doing something different, you begin to see what what they're really there for. But those qualities that you're born with, you cannot interact with those. You can't change those. These are going to be, your personality types, your sexual orientation, all those sorts of things in the DNA that are part of humanity. When you're born, there's certain things you come with. We accept those in other people unless there's something that are, some people have something wrong with them and they don't really work in society very well. That means people that hurt other people. Later on, when we have our mental experiences that we are conscious of, those are the ones that we can interact with. From there, whatever I have as my life experience is going to be pretty much what I become, my life experience. The template is going to be based in life experience from mental processes. Not spiritual processes, but mental processes, which then gives us what we think is a spiritual experience. Buddha, all that we are is a result of what we have thought. That is elsewhere. Okay, so the template is the human life cycle. So as the first sin represents having life experiences, that's it. We have gone from our little kid, happy-go-lucky, I'm just playing and goofing around and standing in the mud puddle while I'm peeing my pants and I don't even care, life, up to the time where you're now judging life experiences and you're having life experiences. You're experiencing things, good, bad, whatever. The physical life experience is how we start, and whatever the nature of that physical life experience is sets us on a course for our path. We come from a lot of places. Some people come from good places, some not. We're looking at this for our own self. Don't even worry about other people at this point. We're looking at our own self on the template. When Adam and Eve are kicked out of the Garden of Eden, that represents us, our conscious and subconscious self, now leaving the land of that standing in the mud puddle and not even caring. We are now going into, I care. I don't want to say this here. I don't want to say that there. I got to keep this to myself. I don't like that. I don't like that. I have shame here. All these things become parts of our mental process that continue then to function in the cosmic field, the unified field. We're going to continue to have those experiences. They're going to procreate. When those experiences happen, we have a division, good, bad, we got choices, and left unchecked, look back on your life, started out little, gets bigger, 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 until you got people like you watch on TV, and there's people that are like screaming in the streets and hating and killing for what? You're a different kind of person than I am, so I hate you. Yeah, they're the ones that are, that's what happens when you don't interrupt your life experiences. It just continues to go that way, and we become corrupted. And life is raucous. It needs to be destroyed. Most people get there, period. They don't take the inner path to self-healing. This is where the next template picks up. And I don't want to use Joseph Campbell. I keep doing that, but I need to pull myself away from his. His is not exactly there. This is where we recognize that is what happened, that we have become mental products of our experiences and the way that we hold them up here. So now we stop and begin to interact with the way we're holding our memories and our past experiences in order to change the way that they feel, which then changes our life. You live life, everything's good. I don't worry about it. Something bad happens. God, this happened. Shit, I don't like it. Later, something happens again. Later, something happens. At some point, you go, wait a minute. Whatever this is, it's kind of a repeated thing. Even if it's different people, it's the same kind of experience. I'm holding that. I'm having this experience, not because of them, but because me and this person match. And if I don't want to have this experience anymore, I have to stop matching, which means whenever I have this experience, I look to see why I am a part of that experience, figure out what I'm holding on to that makes me have to continually suffer this cyclical thing happening again, and find a way to extract myself from that. And it's not easy. It can take going over and over and over again. At no point in time do we go, yeah, my life sucks. I had a bad thing. I'm going to let it all go and everything is going to be okay. It won't work. We have to go in and interact with the emotional remains of our memories. And if you look back on when something happened till now, you will see that it started out not feeling okay, and it became something that was hateful and super bad. That's the getting bigger and bigger, left unchecked. That's the template right there. The steps along the way, There's a lot contained in Genesis has a lot of stuff. It's a tough one to pick through, but at the same time, I like using it to find the analogs. And it's a difficult thing to explain. I hate the way they live their culture. That's the way it was then. There's this hierarchy, this man, woman, stoning people in the streets, male superior over the woman, all that. And they're writing the analogous verbiage in their culture that fits with that. However, it's an easier one to unwrap, say, than, you go off into somebody else's stuff that gets so far away you can't figure out what it is. They're making up new things. What is Sophia in Gnosticism or things like that? We suddenly get into realms where they're shifting the analogs on that template into something that becomes very strange. Genesis is kind of easy to look through, to be sure. Genesis, however, is packaged in such a way to make it incredibly popular to carry by people who can't figure it out. But they will carry it more than anything else. So Genesis is kind of, the whole religious stuff is kind of based, it carries that template, not in myth, but in religion genre, and it just carries different. It works in human fear, but it also actually helps induce and create more human fear than there would have been normally, I think. Anyway, does that make sense? When I find the template, it's based on my life. If you find the template, it's based on your life. Whoever finds the template and takes the path, it's based on their life. It's based on the idea that there's an energy cosmos. I emerge from it, except that I'm never separate from it. I'm still in that energy cosmos. I'm functioning with a brain, with other people within that energy cosmos. We're a larger field than what we think physically. That's where the supernatural comes in, the sensations, the feelings, the gut instinct, I feel good, I'm worshiping our team one, or the same. I was not this mad before, but now that I'm in this group protesting, I'm going to do stuff that I would never have done before because I'm so amped up in it. We get caught in that field and we can see that field. We can experience that field. We can see other people within that field. Cause and effect is in the material, that things continue to emerge from the nature of what they are. But it's all mental. The template is mental. Okay, I know I've said this before, but I see all of these. Like if I was to read the Dao De Jing, and it's what I look at this as now, today, as if I am a seeker for, in that culture, some little Chinese boy, and I go up and I find the master on the hill and I ask him, what is life about? What am I here for? And he starts right off and says, the Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. And what that means is that this material right here, as you're talking about, listen to me talk about it. You listen and you listen and you listen and go, well, he's talking about it. That can't be right, then. It's not the Tao. The reason it is because you can talk about this all day long, but not until the person goes, I'm the called person. I'm going to take this material. This becomes my guru. I'm going to turn inward with it, and I'm going to start interacting with what I interpret from these steps in my own mind. Not until then does it become real. We can talk about it all day long. You can throw the instructions on the table and give them to everybody, but not until somebody picks them up and goes, all right, I'm going in. I'm going to face my molester, my raper, my whoever, all those things. That's when it's yours. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. In the psyche, naming means I am now deciding what life is. Once I start deciding I hate, I don't like, all that stuff, that's not eternal. We're limiting that part of our brain and that part of our life to that right there. If you don't hate anything, that never comes up. Once you hate something, that is a part of you that's going to start coming up. So the name that can be named is not the eternal name. Once that anger goes away and you're dead and gone, it was worthless anyway. We live our lives hanging on to things. The unnameable is the eternally real. That is what we don't grasp onto things. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Now, I'm that kid standing in the mud puddle. I haven't named anything. Now, the neighbor grabs me over and plays with me, and I don't like that. Something goes wrong. Now I have named that. Naming is the origin of all particular things, and left unchecked, I might hate somebody later on because of that, because it's just going to grow and get bigger. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. If you're not holding on to anything, free from desire. Desire does not mean I want. Desire means I'm holding on to something. All of them are analogous terms. They have to shift. In the mind, hanging on to something is the biggest issue. It's the reason we are hurt and the reason we go on the path. Cyclical pain. Free from that desire, you realize the mystery. Next line, caught in desire. Grasping onto something, you see only the manifestations. There it is coming around and around. Yet mystery and manifestations arise from the same source. Everything comes from within us. Our mind is what determines the quality of it, which then dictates our life experience. I grabbed that one because I find it to be pretty easy to work with. All of these are the guru that you then take and turn inward with it. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. Here it is right here. This is the Tao. These are the instructions. This is what you need to do once it's interpreted. It can be taught, but it isn't real until the person grabs it. That's why it's that way. But they all translate in that same manner, however, getting more and more complex. And then within a region, they're taking that template and going, I'm not going to use yours. I'm going to make up my own hierarchy. That those structures play out in the mental hierarchy. All those big stories do. They're fitting a hierarchy. So, okay. Boy, does that help? What I want to do is get people. At some point, you understand that as I'm reading this is me. This is a step of my life. Oh, Adam and Eve getting kicked out. That's me having life experience. Pain in childbirth, every time I give birth, my inner being, that means every time this acts out of me, it's going to be painful. There's how they're holding the cyclical pain. What do they have it in here? Caught in desire, you realize the manifestations. Here we have, you get pain in childbirth all the time. They're analogous terms that are difficult to unwrap. You have to look at them and go, those are not about real life. However, they're written in such a way that most people will carry it many people will carry it and say, this is real life. Okay. If you've watched my videos, you see I'm going through Genesis, working on interpretation of it. We get to the Abram and Sarai, which is one I've been working on. And, this is Abraham and Sarah before it's like a stage along the way. In the Bible, when you look at that, you see there's some very bizarre things going on. And I've looked at videos. I should do a video on this, sampling a couple of other people's things. One guy who's a Christian has even added sex, claiming that Pharaoh didn't have sex with Sarai. And you read the Bible and go, where do you get that? People just throw stuff in to try to make it work. If you interpret the story, though, and realize that Abram is me, my consciousness that is called, Sarai is my inner being, God is my higher self, the land of Canaan, where the famine is to begin with, is the beginning of life. That's the same as naked, unashamed in the garden. This is early in life before there is anything. It's not, if you don't play it out in the psyche, and you play it out as something real, you have to, I can't explain it. I can't. Neither can they. I'll listen to videos, and it's like, that people just making stuff up to try and justify that, because this is the foundations of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Dude's giving his wife to Pharaoh and trading for slaves and stuff. Yeah, so what happens in the story when we translate it is that it's showing a corruption again. We've come through a healing. Now we go from the land of famine where everything was good. This is our earlier self. Pharaoh represents having life experiences now instead of sin in the garden. Now we've got Pharaoh. And the plagues happen. There's the cyclical pain that's coming about. And as a result, Pharaoh tells Abram and Sarai, he's given them things to go with. So we're accumulating things as we go along in life. Slaves and animals and stuff like that are going to feature into the story. The way they're using the analogs and writing them, though, they make it into an adventure. You can make it into just a spiritual teaching. You could make it into a religion. There's different genres that are carrying this. And the carrier packages are, in some cases, the most important part of what is going on in humanity. Not many people are taking that and turning inward with it. What is it to stand outside the narrow gate where only a few will turn in? What is it to carry the ark where only a few will see inside of it? All of these are metaphoric. I see them as metaphoric representations of how the story plays out in the psyche, but every bit of it is analogous and it needs to be interpreted. The interpretation, where it fits in the hierarchy, all of that become very complex processes that I claim are there because I can work through them. If I go to a culture where I don't understand their analogs, I can still probably look and go, okay, I don't, right in the beginning, there's some planets going around or there's something happening that's showing cycles. Here's something that's happening as a result of something else. They're showing cause and effect. Oh, here's something that's happening that's gone bad, that's turning a cycle around, that's a pain that's happening again and again. You can at least spot those big chunks of things. But obviously to do that, you have to read them conceptually and not literally. The people that read them literally are not getting it. We can look at those stories and say, there's flood stories here, in a couple of places. There's a flood. The flood must have really happened, or they're stealing each other's stories. Those are component parts that are shared that are the same thing. They mean flooding out the world. They're held in different cultures on that template in the same place. They're just using that because, how many ways can you wipe out the world in their culture and have it come back? A flood was. All right, let me sum up one more time. The template is based on the idea that we emerge from the universe, which is all energy-based. Matter, everything. Whether it's, all of it is an energy-based universe. That we are also energy-based. However, we are also mental creatures. So we fit in that energy ocean together based on the quality of our mental capacity in a bigger way than what we're aware of. We look at the conscious. We don't understand what's behind it. It's the cause and effect part we're kind of not paying attention to as we're looking outward. When you look inward, you start seeing the reasons that things are happening outward and can interact with them. When you're looking outward, you just see those things happening and you're interacting with the manifestation of what's already happened. Somebody screams and yells because there's an issue that they're both holding and they keep screaming and yelling and you tell them to quit screaming and yelling. Meanwhile, there's an issue that drives it that's nobody's even looking at. That's what we begin to do. We begin to realize there's something driving this. And if you want it to change, you go after what is driven. All right. We're in that energy cosmos functioning that way. The stories have it so that we emerge, we separate, we become conscious. It creates the hierarchy. Higher being, conscious, subconscious, stored characteristics, unified field. The stories are written in there. God, the called, the wife, the bad people, the glory of God. Analogs right there. That is how the stories are structured in that framework. We fit into it as having first been born, growing up, having qualities that we're born with that we can't interact with, but from then on, having experiences that we are now judging and putting them away, and that we're going to do that. Everybody does that. But at some point in time, depending on the nature of those, we might have problems. We may not. There's people that don't have problems in life. They had a good life. They didn't put things away in such a way that it's severe. Or maybe they have one or two things or something like that. Most people probably, maybe a lot of people have something that, I don't even go there. That's up to each person. We're not, we're looking at this for ourselves. It's a personal path, period. That we become products of those experiences, that they continue to cycle, that left unchecked, they continue to grow and get bigger throughout life, that we've lost our good qualities, our love and joy and peace have become angry and, things like that at times. And that right there ends the human life cycle. Some people just stop right there. They never turn inward. But if you are the person that is called, the option right here is to begin using the material and interpreting it in such a way that it's telling us to go in and interact with ourselves and memories and wipe these things out. That could have to be a different video because it's very specific on how this is used and how we can go in and work in our own minds to deal with things that we don't want to deal with. If you want that video, let me know. That's interpretation of the material and it's psychological. Ever seen a shrink until you feel good? That's what it is, except you're the shrink. Okay. And then it goes on and tells us we have to turn inward, that we have to reconnect with our inner beings, that we have to reconnect with our higher self, something that we've kind of lost touch with. Again, that would fit perfectly in another video. It's too big here. And that we work to heal ourselves, that when we do that, we resolve issues, we feel good about it, and then we go back to life and we have better mastery of our life because of having done that. That is it. That's the template. That's the human life cycle and how to interact with it and change your life. But knowing that when you start this, if you're in a really down and out bad place, you start making changes, that the place that you are in is not going to remain your place. You're going to have to, if you're doing a lot of changes, you can't stay where you are. You're going to have to be elsewhere. It can get pretty daunting. Although people that do this, you look back on your life and go, yeah, that happened naturally. I couldn't stay there. I couldn't stay there. Yeah, you go on or you try, you're exploring, you're doing something. Anyway, all right. Hope that helps. Captain Knots, let me know if that is helpful and ask any other questions, by all means. Take care. Everyone love one another. See you in the next video.